live from the Big G's Pizza Studio on Clark Street. This is 5 Songs with Friends, Chicago's music discovery podcast. Within a year of their first show, pop duo Jacob and Fanny had already been signed by industry legend L.A. Reid to Epic Records and worked alongside heavyweights such as John Hill, Dave Cobb, Diane Warren, Tamposi, Amy Wadge, hopefully I said that right, and Greg Wells. However, after going independent, the duo teamed up with producer John Cunningham of XXXTentacion fame, who distinctively captured the couple's chemistry on their debut EP, highlighting each voice and marrying acoustic instrumentation with synth drops and drum programming. Reflective of an honest relationship, their sound is able to strike a balance between high-energy pop and stripped-down vulnerability. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Jacob and Fanny here today. How's it going?
Hello, good.
Hi, guys.
So I'm stoked to have you on. Pardon me, I didn't do my full research, but based on this bio, you guys are dating, is that correct? And that's the music comes from that?
Yeah, totally. That's kind of like how this whole thing got started. I moved to L.A., I asked my vocal coach who I should meet out in LA, and it was also Fanny's vocal coach. And so she told me to meet up with Fanny, that she thought we would be a good, songwriting match. So we ended up meeting for coffee. We spent the whole day together, we really clicked, started writing songs, and then, shortly after fell in love and, went down that path.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of love at first sight, but we kept it professional for a couple of weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
A whole 2 weeks, 14 days, but who's counting, right?
Yeah.
It was a long 2 weeks, let me tell you.
Man, okay, well, so I'm always curious. I'm a hopeless romantic, like most people are. Was there any big romantic gesture that you made, Jacob, or maybe Fanny as well, that was just, solidified the deal, I guess?
I don't know if it was, a romantic gesture, but I just remember very distinctly. We were writing all day, and we were really starving. And we went out and got Chipotle, and the burritos are huge,
Mm-hmm.
And so we walked back to Fanny's apartment. We had our big burritos we were about to eat, and then we started having this intense conversation. I sort of revealed that I had feelings for her, and then she revealed that she had feelings for me. And those burritos just sat there, we didn't eat at all. We were so nervous and everything. It was kind of weird because. It's not like we were in high school or anything, but it felt like that, and we were so nervous.
Man, burritos bringing people together since the dawn of burritos.
Jacob and Fanny brought to you by Chipotle.
Yeah, no kidding. You guys should get sponsored. Chipotle, make it happen. Make it happen.
That's a great slogan.
Anything to add there, Fanny? I mean, is that pretty much how you remember it?
Yeah, I mean, we started dating pretty, quickly after, and I think that everything went pretty fast. When it's the right person for you, it's just there was, everything was going pretty fast. So, yeah, that was romantic. It was kind of, I don't know, a very free relationship.
Yeah, it was really, it definitely, we both had that spark when we met. Fanny probably doesn't want to admit it, but she told her mom that she thought she met, the guy. Was the first day we met, and then I would come over to write songs and stuff, and Fanny would make these little appetizer trays and make me a rum and coke, and I was like, damn, this is wifey material.
Oh, I love it. Who says true love is dead? We have evidence right here on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, I love it. Tell me about, so how do you guys write songs together? Is there do you guys take turns? Do you come in with ideas together and collaborate? What's that process look like?
I feel that it's really 50-50. It really depends. Sometimes, I come up with the melodic idea and Jacob, kind of starts on the lyrics or vice versa. But I feel that usually, Jake, we kind of write more the melody first, and sometimes we have an idea with the song titles and stuff like that. We often do co-writing, so writing sessions with other writers as well. So that's really fun too, to have that kind of third person.
And, because we're together all the time, sometimes songs get written when we're not even officially writing. I'll be, folding laundry or doing something, whatever, in the other room, and Fanny will be jamming on the piano. and then I'll hear a little melody that she sings or whatever, and I'll come out and be like, what was that? You know, and we'll start something off of that, or vice versa. And like a lot of ideas in our house get started like that, where one person is in the other room and the other one's jamming, and then, you know, the other
you get inspired.
Yeah, exactly. So
interesting.
Cool.
Do you ever, like, because that sounds like a blessing and a curse of like always being around music, always in the mindset that you could be writing a song. Like, do you ever have to stop each other and be like, no music tonight, we're just going to stay in and watch TV like normal non-musicians?
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say that overall it's a blessing, but sometimes it can be difficult in just a way that, you know, for anybody that is a partner, you know, a business partner, I call it business, even if it's a music business with their, you know, their significant other, it can be difficult because it's hard to draw the line. When are we, you know, into the music and doing the project, and when are we a couple and just not talking about that? I feel that there's not a lot of, there's not a clear line. I feel that at dinner we're going to be talking about that, but it's kind of nice at the same time, you know, kind of,
like you said, it could be a blessing and a curse sometimes. It happened just the other night. We were writing, and I think we were recording vocals actually, and we started fighting about something, and then like we were going at it, and then we went out to dinner, and I started bringing up something music related, and Fanny's like, we're a couple now, forget it, don't talk music, like let's turn the page, you know. So you definitely, it's hard, but you got to try to set those boundaries so like you compartmentalize a little bit.
But I think that the cool thing is that when we tour, it's really fun because we can both go at the, you know, we're traveling together and we're really experiencing it with, you know, the person you love. I feel that there's nothing better than that. That I really think it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, so in your bio, one of the last kind of sentence I didn't get to was you mentioned each song tells an aspect of your lives together, and there are extreme highs and extreme lows, but you never give up. Can you maybe each give an example, or like one can take the high, one can take a low, of just like what is like an extreme high that you've had together, either as you know, musical partners or in the relationship, or an extreme low, and how you've incorporated that into your music?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, we always write about our relationship, and we're both, you know, we're both artists, so we're highly emotional, and you know, we go through a roller coaster all the time. I would say that we have most of the time is more highs than lows, but, you know, it's always difficult. When we took the decision, for example, to go independent, it was very difficult for me when we left the label, so it was a really struggling time for me. I was battling depression. It was really hard, and Jacob was my rock at that time. So I think that was really difficult. And then we met with John. We recorded a whole EP, and then we went back up, and we were super, you know, we were doing much better. And it's always like that. It's like everything in life, you know, always up and down.
Yeah, and sometimes like it's kind of both at the same time, you know, like those endings are beginnings, you know. I think that's like a big part of what we talk about, you know, like in our last single, Hold On to Me, you know, we used to fight a lot, and a lot of it was like coming from fear, and we'd have our walls up and stuff like that. So in that way, it was like a negative because it was coming from that place where we were having a disconnect between us. But then, you know, we go deeper and like learn to trust each other and see that, you know, that we all have our baggage and stuff, and learn to see where it comes from. And it brought us closer together. And so I think like that's a big part of it, is like there's highs and lows in every moment. You know what I'm saying? So a little bit of that.
And don't you think, Jake, at the beginning we would only write about the good things,
mm-hmm.
and we thought it was kind of dishonest because a relationship is never just good. You know, it's always adjusting and like learning about yourself, about the other person. So we were like, we need to write about that. So I feel that now we're really honest, and it's, you know, it's always so positive, but we talk about the struggles sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know why we felt that need. Maybe because we were thinking, oh, we're a couple, so we need to give couple's hope and write about how great our couple is and stuff like that. Meanwhile, we'll be like fighting, about making music and stuff. And I'm just like, this doesn't feel right at all. Why are we doing this? Like, we love each other. Can't we just talk about both the good times and the bad times? And it's still inspiring, So I think when we made this decision to do that, it definitely took a turn for better music.
Awesome. Well, so you got a brand new song. It's called Home.
Mm-hmm.
Where does this fall on that kind of emotional spectrum, and what's kind of the story behind this song?
Fanny, you want to tell a story? Or?
You go ahead.
Okay.
It's a fun one.
So again, this is another story that was kind of like good with making good situation out of a not so good situation. We're out in LA, we're artists, it's hard out here. You get to pay the rent and all that stuff. You have to do stuff, and we started renting out our house because we couldn't pay the rent, and we literally go take our dog and go sleep in a tent, like in the mountains, because there's mountains close to LA. And it was one of these things, like camping. And it was like one of these things, like we had to do it out of necessity to get by, but it ended up being the best time. And
we went hiking, and it was like great, and it was a great experience. But
yeah, and it was, we were so stressed because we were working all the time and trying to get by and make ends meet and everything like that. But then we'd end up going out into nature and reconnecting and everything like that. So the new song, it's called Home. It's out now, and it's basically that. It's us like getting out of LA and reconnecting, and it ended up being a really good thing for us.
It's kind of like wherever we are, we're home if we're together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story, and I can't wait for you guys to tell that when you make it big, and you're accepting some sort of award down the line, because I love it. I think it's a really awesome story. Let's jump into it though. Let's play it. This is a song called Home by Jacob and Fanny.
You said pack your bags, 'cause you're tired of the city. We've been working too much, and we both need a little more, you and me. Yeah, I know we got off track. I wanna get back on it. Go back to the part where we couldn't give gifts, but we kept our promises. And all the things I wanna do wouldn't mean a thing to me if I did them without you. And I would trade it all for us. You're the only thing I need, and I don't say it enough. Here's the truth:
I don't care what I have, only you. And I don't need that much, only you. No matter where we go, I know if you'll be there, I'll be home. I don't care where I'm sleeping at night, just need to feel your body on mine. No matter where we go, I know if you'll be there, I'll be home.
So let's take a drive away from the city. Spend the night in the car looking up at the stars and just talk about everything. We can take our time, I don't care where we're headed. It's just you and me and nothing in between, 'cause that's right where the love is. And all the things I wanna do wouldn't mean a thing to me if I did them without you. And I would trade it all for us. You're the only thing I need, and I don't say it enough. Here's the truth:
I don't care what I have, only you. And I don't need that much, only you. No matter where we go, I know if you'll be there, I'll be home. I don't care where I'm sleeping at night, just need to feel your body on mine. No matter where we go, I know if you'll be there, I'll be home. I know if you'll be there, I'll be home.
Here's the truth:
I don't care what I have, only you. And I don't need that much, only you. No matter where we go, I
right, so that was Home by Jacob and Fanny. So what, were you guys just like Airbnb-ing your house out? Is that like was that the general idea?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, we again, like it was doing what we had to do to be able to be out in LA making our music, and what can you do?
Yeah. No, I think that's an awesome story though, and I think I appreciate you sharing that, because I'm sure there'll be some artists that listen to this and they're going through, some sort of rough patch, and like it's cool to hear, your perspective on it, that you not only made it through that or making it through that, but like you flipped it on its head and were like, hey, this can be an asset, not a liability. Brings us closer together.
Totally.
We get out into nature. Like I think that's awesome. Like that's a huge reframe and a very positive way to look at life, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, your mindset is everything for sure. I mean, you could definitely view certain things negatively or, spin it in a positive light. And we try to do that as much as we can.
Yeah, and I think you have to, like, especially if you're doing what you're trying to do, if you're trying to make an impact on the world through art, like there's not, every day is not going to be taking a step forward. There's going to be massive steps back, and there's going to be a few steps forward and more steps back, and like that's just part of the game. And so, yeah, if you have that mindset, like you could argue that's the only way you'd make it through it. And I love to hear that you guys are on that page.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, so out there in LA or in general, are there any other, under the radar artists that or friends, bands, things like that you're really digging and want to give a shout out to?
Well, these producers, we work with a lot of producers, like, this one guy, who did we just work with? This guy, Colton Avery. Yeah, he's a really sick writer and singer and everything like that. He was awesome. OG Volta, old, producers that we worked with, they're really dope, and yeah, there's a lot of people out here.
Awesome.
You have anybody that
I can do a little shout out also to my, I'm from Montreal, I'm Canadian.
Oh yeah.
We're working right now on some more music, half French, half English, and we're working with that dope producer, Real Mind, and his solo project is really cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure, shout out.
Great stuff. All right, so how can people stay in touch with all things Jacob and Fanny? Future releases, concert dates, things like that.
Yeah, we're gonna go do a few shows in Canada and in the U.S., New York, Miami, LA, Montreal, possibly Toronto. It's everywhere, like on our social, Jacob and Fanny. .com or Jacob and Fanny on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere.
We're lucky that name was pretty uncommon. So like our handles on all social media is just Jacob and Fanny. So
Jacob and Fanny.
Easy to find. Fanny like Fanny pack. Yeah.
Nice. I love it. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling the story. And being vulnerable is always tough no matter what. And so I appreciate you opening up and coming on the show and sharing some of these stories.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Thank you so much. That was really nice. Thank you.